Hey guys, it's Rod with Civil Advantage Firearms Training here yet again, and today we're going to do a review on a very interesting firearm. It is the Dagger SAP6 12 gauge pump action magazine fed shotgun. So this gun was provided to me by my friend Nick over at Tactical Imports. These guys bring these in, and it's a very interesting firearm. If you saw my channel update a little while back, I mentioned that you guys are probably familiar that I'm not a shotgun guy. Not a fan of shotguns. I have several shotguns, I shoot them, but it's just not my favorite thing to shoot. And Nick had offered me this firearm a couple of times, and I'm like, not really a shotgun guy. I'm not sure I'm the best guy for your review. But finally, I thought, maybe I will check it out. And as the story goes, I mean, you guys have probably already heard this, but by the time I got this gun and started handling it, I thought, man, he should have talked me into this thing because it's really different, and that's exciting to me, right? That something's really different. So now, is different always better? I don't know. Let's get into it. So this thing is magazine fed. Whenever you're talking about a shotgun that's magazine fed and its benefits to a traditional shotgun, it tends to be a debate between a tubular magazine and a removable box magazine. So the benefits, there's benefits to both. For a shotgun, a tubular magazine is good because you can top it up in real time. Depending on the shotgun, you can port load around. These are all great things about a pump action shotgun that has a tubular magazine, and the shotgun has a lower profile. Sometimes it's a little bit lighter. So there's a lot of different things. With a magazine fed shotgun, it's different. Now if you have a magazine fed rifle versus a tubular magazine on a rifle, it's a different debate because a magazine on a rifle can hold 30 rounds in a civilized country, as you know, not in Canada of course. But in a tubular magazine sometimes will hold 7, 8, 9 rounds at best. So it's a little bit different. For shotguns, the SAP6 comes with a 6-round magazine. So for a shotgun of its length to have 6 rounds, this has an 11.5-inch barrel. That's pretty cool. 6 rounds in an 11.5-inch barrel shotgun. Still non-restricted because it's manually operated, so there's no barrel length issue there. So there's a benefit there. But the real advocates of magazine-fed shotguns say this, especially for a place like Canada where we can't load a firearm unless we're in an area where it can be legally and safely discharged, is unloaded, loaded. Unloaded, loaded, right? So there's a benefit there. Especially if you're out in the wilderness, you keep it in your vehicle. For transport of a non-restricted firearm, no secure locking device required on the firearm. It just has to be unloaded. Out of sight is good too, as an extra measure. But if you have a problem, you get out of the vehicle, a cougar jumps on your buddy or whatever, or a bear starts mauling them, you're like, oh my God, this thing's loaded in no time flat. And it's unloaded in no time flat. So it's kind of cool that way. So that's the deal on the magazines. The magazines themselves, the gun, I'll step back for 1 second. The gun itself is $699, so $700 shotgun, and the magazines are $45 each. As I'm sure I'm not unique in that I don't like spending money on magazines, but anyway, for the size a mag it is compared to pistol mags that are $45, I guess it's not a bad deal. But nonetheless, if you're going to budget for the shotgun, you should budget for a couple extra mags because you're going to need them. Can't really shoot the shotgun unless you push around right into the chamber without the magazine. And there's things that actually prevent you from doing that, which I'm going to get into now. So that's the deal that's the overview of the shotgun itself. It's short, it's very lightweight, it's cool, it's very unique, but let's get into the guts of it because this is where the real devil is in the details. This is a very different shotgun and things are going to get a little bit weird, a little bit complex. While I'm talking about the stuff, I'm going to show you a little video clips to illustrate exactly what I mean. But let's get into it. Okay, this gun itself is very lightweight. For a 12 gauge shotgun, there's a lot of polymer or composite, or otherwise known as plastic on it, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The Glock has a bunch of plastic, right, as well, or composite or polymer. So you got the stock. The stock is really nice. It's extendable way out to a length of pull that no human being would ever need unless you're a basketball player or something. The grip is really interesting. So it has a pistol grip on it, but the grip looks like a little upside down tornado. It has all these this twisting pattern to it, and it gets kind of really wide at the bottom but thin up here. I don't know what it is about this grip, but it feels awesome. And this thing will never, your hand will never fall off this gun. This thing's never going to slip out of your hands. So it's actually pretty cool. And again, lightweight. The forend is the same polymer material as the as the stock. And then the lower receiver, basically where the magazine well is a high impact plastic as well. I don't think you're ever going to break it. And of course, it's lightweight. The rest of the firearm is metal. You have this full-length rail. How I feel about full-length rails is that's something that I'm going to need anyway at some point. Gives me a lot of versatility, especially if I'm going to put an optic on this thing. I can move it back and forth to where I want it because, of course, this is firearms side eject. And it's something I don't have to buy or put on. And I like that. I've mentioned that before in other reviews. Now, operation. When I first started shooting this thing, I was incredibly clumsy with it. Here's a little bit of video. To analyze why this shotgun is so difficult to fire fast, we're going to have to talk about this because this is an important thing if you're thinking of buying this thing. The forend has a spring in it, and it always closes the action for you. The spring has a fair amount of tension. You have to intentionally pull it back. The action does not lock. Okay, it doesn't lock when it's forward, and it doesn't lock when there's no way to lock it open. It never locks. So that creates a situation. So here goes. Here's the complex part. So I got this gun. I got a magazine in it. I cycle the action, and I go to shoot the thing. Well, when I shoot it, if I want to shoot it fast, the forend goes forward. I pull the trigger. I cycle a new round. I pull the trigger again. If the timing between my trigger pull and the forend going all the way forward with the chambered round is off, the gun won't fire. See, this is the issue, because if I pull it back here just a little bit, if I'm just off by just a fraction of a second, the gun won't fire. And here's the problem. So I slam the thing forward, I shoot, I cycle it again, my timing's off, and I pull the trigger, it doesn't fire, and I'm already coming back. By the time I realize that I pulled the forend too soon backwards to chamber, to get rid of that empty round, chamber another one, I've got a live round flying off the ground. Then my timing gets screwed up. So you can see is the video I'm showing, it can get pretty bad. The key to this gun is that you need to train with it. Like, you really need to work it. I think it's gonna work out fine. It's just not going to be as easy for you, because a tubular magazine, or even like a Dominion Arms or whatever, any shotgun where the action locks, it's going to take that delay out for you. So the other problem, as I mentioned, is when I come back and I've missed a shot, by the time I realize I flipped out an unfired round. I've fired a 6-round magazine. I fired 4 rounds and had 2 flip out because of my bad timing. But again, it's operator error. If you're going to use a shotgun like this, if you're running like tactical shotgun, you're doing combat shotgun courses, and you're just kind of running all this running and gunning with shotguns, this is an awesome choice. It's small, it's light, you get 6 rounds for a shotgun that has an 11.5-inch barrel, and the rail, then everything is awesome. But you're going to have to train with it, or it's not going to be quite what you're after. Now, one of the other benefits to a tubular magazine is you can port load around. So if I have this gun, and I have a problem, or I'm on a course or whatever, and I'm pointing it at downrange, and I want to load it, the exercise is to load this thing fast, I can turn the gun like this, I can tray around in my hand, I can slap it in the ejection port, run the pump forward, and I have a round that I can actually shoot while I load this magazine. Well, with this gun, to port load is a trick. There's a spring. You can never, like with a 12 gauge, with a regular pump action shotgun, you pull the forend back, no problem, the action stays open, you can slap that round in there all with one hand while you hold the gun up to your shoulder with your finger, prepared to pull the trigger if need be. With this gun, you can't do it because it's got this spring. It closes every time. It won't stay open. There's no way to lock the action open. Even the empty mag doesn't lock the action open. So that took it, and you can see here's some of my attempts. Okay, I'm trying to figure out a way to do it, and it can be done. But you are going to have to do some strange stuff, throw the shell in here like this. Hopefully I'm not making too much noise on the mic for you guys. And then I can actually let the forend run forward by itself while I'm changing hands again. So basically, again, just reinforcing what I said before, you just got to learn how to run it properly. I can't really see, you know, a lot of areas. I mean, if you want to do a 2-point sling, you can do one here. There's a thin area for you to run a sling through, and maybe you can run through one of these holes. That's fine. But the front sling mount is right on the fore end, which is, I'm not a fan of that, to be honest with you. And I've heard of guys blowing their sling off because their sling gets in the way of the barrel because it's so short, and away it goes. You got to buy yourself a new sling. But I mean, is that a buy, don't buy item? Probably not. So all in all, what do I think of the shotgun? I think it's really awesome. It's very lightweight, it's very cool, it's very unique. Again, you're gonna have to learn how to run it properly, but for $6.99, I think it's a pretty cool addition to the collection. So I think I'm actually gonna hang on to this one. Unfortunately, you know, my budget's a little thin for buying new guns. I buy too many of them, obviously, but I think this one's worth it. One more thing, because this is important. When I first got this gun, to put the magazine in like this was extremely difficult. This is actually really good information, so I don't want to, you know, I know you're wishing I was wrapping it up, but I gotta tell you this. So I'm used to doing this whole thing, right? Because I'm an AR fanatic. So my muscle memory on this thing, I can do it, you know, I can overcome, you know, quite a bit of resistance to throw that mag in there at this angle. But when I first got this thing, it was like this. Like it took everything to push this mag in, and I was kind of concerned about that. I thought, that's not going to work for me, right, ever. But just so you know, I've run about 150 rounds through this gun, and now they go in just fine. It's no problem now. So just so you guys know, it's not going to be an issue. If it's tight when it shows up, it's not bad. The other thing that's really tight on this thing is the safety. The problem is when you have a safety that's not easy to turn on and off, you tend to not use it. So I think I've heard from someone else that has this shotgun that the safety gets easier, but it's really stiff back and forth. If you wanted to fix that, you might be able to take a small C-clamp, and you know, if you do the brakes on your car or whatever, you have a C-clamp, or you have smaller ones if you do other work or whatever, and you put a C-clamp right on the safety and use maybe try the, I haven't tried it yet, but that's what I'm looking at. If, you know, if this thing doesn't loosen up, I'm going to put a C-clamp on it, I'm going to move the C-clamp back and forth and get that worn in a little bit so I can turn the safety on and off easily. But because when it came out of the box, man, it's really stiff. Like I don't think I could do it with my index finger, with my trigger finger. That's how stiff it is. So anyway, hopefully this information was helpful. You can find these guns at tacticalimport.ca. Again, thanks to Nick for sending this stuff out. I still have to do the review on the Bursa Thunder Pro pistol, which I've been shooting quite a bit, and it's a pretty cool little pistol, so that'll be a really interesting review. There's some good benefits to that pistol in particular that I want to tell you about. But if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can at Civil Advantage 1, or you can find us on the net at www.civiladvantage.com. Thanks, and we will see you next time.